I don't have a score prediction, but I always say this. Go blue, baby. It's going down on Saturday. Yes.
Yes, it is going down Saturday, which is tomorrow now. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in on this Black Friday. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Not if you're a Lions fan. You didn't have a great Thanksgiving. I know that. But, hey, what did you expect? They hadn't won a game all year long. We're ready to get things underway on this Friday, this holiday weekend, and we are inside of 24 hours to the game tomorrow at Michigan Stadium. That's on my mind. That's probably on your mind if you're watching right now. Just anything to, think about the upcoming contest for Michigan here. And I've paused a few times to consider what it would be like for Michigan at the end of the game to look up at the scoreboard and see Michigan up. And it would be pretty fantastic when you think about all the years that Michigan has played football, and this is the 117th meeting. This will be as good as any victory in the history of Michigan football if the Wolverines are able to go out there tomorrow. And if they're victorious against their bitter rivals from the South, it will mean everything right now here in 2021, considering how Ohio State has done recently in this series, considering Jim Harbaugh and how he has done as head coach of Michigan, considering the success that Ohio State has had in college football as a whole in recruiting and everything else that it would mean. And if you for a second take and feel like, let me start that over. You take a second to consider a victory, and then, you do keep going. You do play in the elusive Big Ten championship game in Indy next week. There were 3 times back in 2015, 2016, and 2018. I had to give a little bit of notice at my job. I was working on the weekends, and I said, hey, I want the weekend off because I'm going to go down to Indy, even though I'm working in the media. I'm going down to Indy to watch Michigan play in the Big Ten championship game. It didn't happen. All 3 of those times. I'm going to be home tomorrow, although I am going down to the golf course early, and I'll be returning to watch this game and talk about it afterwards right here on the Maize and Blue Review. Right after the game, it takes me about 10 minutes to set things up and get ready to go, and then I hit live, and I'll be on there talking about tomorrow hopefully a Michigan victory. Well, what kind of chance do you give Michigan in this game? That's the big thing that I keep, going over. And there's a lot of Michigan fans that I have noticed on the message boards, TMBR, Wolverine Den. They don't consider anything but a victory, and they consider anything that you mentioned that is not with Michigan out on top. That you're against Michigan, that it's counterproductive, that none of that helps U of M in the cause, when it comes down to beating Ohio State. And, I get that. I do. I mean, what does it help to, what good does it do to, to look at the other side and make a prediction unless it's for Michigan? I understand that part, but what kind of chance do I really give Michigan? I know that the odds makers came out, was it 7? I just looked a moment ago, and it's at 8.5. Where I looked on, not FanDuel, the DraftKings. That's where I looked, and it was at 8.5. But the things that I'm sitting here thinking about, what kind of chance Michigan has. They are at home. That helps. Being at home, having your crowd behind you, can give you a little bit of extra push. There's no doubt about that. I mean, home field advantage, it can be a big factor in college football. I would think that. The Michigan fans not being in this position. 2 years ago, 4 years, well, now it's not like that because of last year. Yeah, it is. It still is. 2 years ago, 4 years ago, the crowds were backing Michigan as much as possible there, trying to get the Wolverines a win. We know that's not everything, but a great crowd, especially since, what's at stake and, that there was no game last year. So, if there's a reason that this crowd could be the loudest crowd in Michigan history, I would think this would be it. I mean, what other game would you think of? You know, they're playing for everything, and absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I would expect a great crowd, and that can help. That's one of the reasons, you know, when I think about what kind of chance Michigan has, you know, yeah, I do look to the crowd. You know, that's an intangible part. I think tangibly, you know, the X's and O's, they had a scheme that they would run when they had more talent with the defensive coordinator when Don Brown was here, that I think we all can recite this chapter and verse. When Michigan had better talent, you can go up there and play bully ball. You can go up there and play man, get up in everybody's face and just get after them and say, hey, this is Michigan, you know, and we're going to play aggressive. And if that doesn't work, we're going to play more aggressive, in the words of Don Brown. But it didn't work, obviously, in this game. And Mike McDonald has, you know, different ideas, and he'll try some different things out there. So I think going in, just X's and O's wise, that I feel better about Michigan's coaching approach as they get ready to kick this off with Ohio State. And, you know, the other thing, even though it doesn't feel like it, because it's, you know, 8 in a row, 15 out of 16, however you want to go back, and those numbers are accurate, it's that, you know, upsets do happen. And, you know, they happen in rivalry games. You know, there's been one part, and this gets back to the intangible thing, is that, you know, there have been a few years, I don't know, over a decade, and I'll point to the quarterbacks has been the biggest difference. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to argue with me. You want to start going down the list of other things? Yeah, recruiting overall, sure. But, you know, the quarterback's been the number one reason. You go all the way back from, you know, Troy Smith or whatever, however far you want to go back over the last 16 years. It's been the QB play. But you look to one of those intangibles that I think Michigan has come around on, and it's one of those things that people dismiss. And, you know, I wanted to dismiss it mostly as well. But Justin Fields said it. Did he say it last year, or did he say it 2 years ago in the offseason? I think it was last year in the offseason. And, you know, it's not like he started out at Ohio State. He transferred in. But he said, we care about this game more. And you know what? Ohio State players and fans, they do obsess about their team and about this game more. They have they have this century. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. Well, Ohio State, I mean, down in Columbus, I know they have a hockey team, but it's just all football all the time. You know, sure, I think they like their pro teams, but, you know, the pro team is Ohio State. They don't have you know, Ohio's in the Mid-America. It's just all Buckeyes all the time. So when it's 24/7 like that, you know, there is going to be an obsession with the fans, and it is going to trickle down to the players. And Michigan, you know, their players over the last few years, when they've, you know, been asked about this, they're saying, you know what, no, we're focusing on this. This is a big deal. But you've also heard from some other players, Charles Woodson specifically, even when things where it's like, oh, they're a little bit a ways from, you know, just obsessing about Ohio State. But I think if you fast forward here to the day before they're getting ready to kick this one off, they have done some things, whether it's, I don't know, putting the signs up, which wasn't actually a sign. I think they put, you know, banners or a wallpaper or whatever it was up, you know, in the weight room. What are you doing to beat Ohio State today? Right? Isn't that exactly what it says? And so they are I think keeping it top of mind is something as an intangible. And, you know, you heard it, you know, you heard Juwan Howard there at the outset, but they have that tackling drill, you know, not a 7-on-7, but then you go 9-on-7. It's a toughness drill. It's something that, you know, I don't know if they do it in the pros, but certainly at high school and college level, you know, there's different names, Oklahoma drill, whatever you want to call it. But Michigan started calling it the Ohio, I think just the Ohio drill. I think Mike Hart came in, and here was Andrew Vastardis, who was asked about the drill this week. And
it was just one of those things, you know, put a little extra emphasis on the game, because, you know, you come to Michigan to play Ohio State, you come to Michigan for big games like this, and it was just a little extra emphasis. We just renamed one of our drills, and, you know, really just wanted to up the physicality, knowing that this game's physical as they come in all aspects of football. So just that's kind of where it came from.
Little things, you know, up the physicality. This game, I think the biggest challenge is going to be trying to contain as much as possible the passing game. But the physicality aspect, when Michigan has the ball, and being able to have an offensive line and being able to, on those third and shorts, winning the money downs, coming down to a fourth and short, and you're going to go for it. Having an offensive line that can, just a little bit, can that be something, a little bit of an advantage here? They've kept it top of mind, just a little bit of something. It goes into the category of tangibles. It's just like when somebody says some kind of trash talking, people are like, that doesn't mean anything if they're not ready to play. Well, it might not mean anything, but these players all week long, they're always told about it. You go down to the football offices and you look outside, at least back in the day when I was going into the football offices. Yeah, none of that stuff means anything. What's this all outside on the table? Oh, look at what they're saying about you. Look what they're saying about you in the paper. Look what so-and-so is saying about you. That's all they do is get hammered and reminded about what people are saying about them and what things are being said by the other team and, opposing media or national media. That's all they hear about. Or at least they have an area where anything that can be motivated, they don't actually have a cork board right outside. I haven't seen, Harbaugh, the renovation down there. And when I was there, they had a table outside of Lloyd Carr's office that I used to see the bulletin board material. But, maybe there is the actual cork board and they're sticking something up there that is bulletin board material. So I put that in the intangibles, talking about the X's and O's. And the other thing, that might make you feel a little bit more confident about tomorrow is just that, it's going to change at one point, and upsets do happen, and they happen in rivalry games, and this one is at Michigan Stadium. So all those things should make you feel a little bit better. If you're, totally worried about this one and just counting down the seconds until kickoff tomorrow, I'm with you on that part. I think, I'll get to some of the other things. I do want to put something up there. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I will read it for you because you won't be able to see the scroll at the bottom of YouTube here. But it is Black Friday. And what does that mean? Well, for me, it means eating a fantastic turkey dinner leftovers, which I did about an hour ago, and it was fabulous. And it did mean watching Baylor and Michigan State play in the Atlantis basketball tournament. 75-58, by the way, it goes to Baylor over MSU. And it means that, I see that the Pistons are playing the Clippers at 3:30. I see at 10:30, Gonzaga is taking on Duke. And yeah, is it 1:30? It's coming right up. We're going to have Iowa and Nebraska with the Cornhuskers being favored by a point. That is what it means. It means sports, on a Friday with everybody off, being able to sit back and enjoy some of those games. But, for a lot of people, it's shopping. It was a long way to get there. And we have our Black Friday special for you here at TMBR. I'm going to read the Wolverine Den, the message boards that you get access to on this Black Friday special. A year of the Maize and Blue Review for $20.21. Get it? 2021. You go to MichiganRivals.com and you just enter that promo code Rivals 2021 and you get it. You're a new annual subscription only for people there. You get it. And then you're a member of the community there. And it's been a long time since I was just hang out on Twitter, since 2011, really. There was a time that I would hang out on a Michigan message board way back in the day. And then, I went there for fun. Somebody told me to blank off like a Michigan fan. And I was like, I don't need this. I logged off and never went back to that message board. But, now you talk about the deep dives that these, so you'd expect it's Rivals Michigan. So you'd expect the Uber Michigan fan to be there. And guess what? It is the Uber Michigan fan, but it's a different than what I was expecting, because I thought, I know big time Michigan fans. Look, I've been around them for 25 years. I've talked to them. I deal with tons of big time Michigan fans, but you've got your big time Michigan fans. And then you have the Wolverine Den posters And, just as an example, you're looking back at the basketball game that was played on Wednesday against Tarleton. I watched that game and, I was taking notes, but the breakdown of each player, of the starting lineups, of everything that's going on, the Ken Palms for the rest of the year, already the schedule, taking a look at it, all of the different ramifications of everything, coaching decisions. And it is, it's been, I like it. I like it. I like going over all the different angles when it comes down to Michigan. So there is my testimonial for the Maize and Blue review of the Wolverine Den, which you can get involved in and see all the fantastic action. That's just scratching the surface. There's a bunch of other things that's going on there, but take it from me. You want to get involved. I look forward to seeing you there on the Wolverine Den. Speaking of the message boards, I put a question, with it being 24 hours away, less than that now, to kickoff. And it was a pretty easy question. I'm just clicking it over here. And you can always leave a message here if you're watching on YouTube. And I see that we do have some messages already coming in. Let's see. And the first one is coming in from Antoine. It's going to be nice, and I think that's cold tomorrow. It may even storm and snow. I think that favors us. And Antoine's saying he feels really good. Antoine's saying it's like a cult to them, even though they evangelize those players. You notice the weird way they've been trained not to say Michigan in their interviews. It's a cult behavior. Christian getting in on some feedback on YouTube. Christian saying, do you see this as more of a track meet, or do you think one or both of the defenses will show up? Well, I'm picking a score of 38-31. So I think that is going to be a track meet. What I would think is that for Michigan here, they don't want to stand toe-to-toe with that Ohio State offense. The best thing, if you're thinking about the recipe for an upset, is Michigan controlling the time of possession, going on 10, 12, 15 play drives that feature a lot of Hassan Haskins, that you're bringing in Donovan Edwards on a key third down, Blake Corum of coming back and maybe catching the ball out of the backfield. I got the two wild cards that are at running back. Corum, he was part of the 1-2 punch but since he's missed since the Indiana game and has not been available here, he's a wild card. I think he's good. We saw him taped up, and he could have been used in an emergency situation last week against Maryland. But how close to 100%, and then shaking off any rust. I don't look at this as a 1-2 punch with Michigan in the backfield, but I look at Corum as a wild card. Same thing with Donovan Edwards. Whether you're using him as a decoy or, hey, let's actually see about putting the ball in number 7's hands. Guy is got a good set of hands on him. We saw that as he, I'm trying to show you how he caught the ball there against Maryland and then took off, kept running. Yeah, you got a weapon. And the long answer is I think the track meet type game favors Ohio State because they just have more. They have more speed. They have more explosion with their wide receivers, and they have a quarterback that can really deliver the ball. When they talk about making all the throws, you look at some. I was looking at some of the cut-ups of Stroud, and it's really nice to know with one of those wideouts that you can go all the way to the opposite hash and you can fire it all the way to the back of the end zone. These guys are not going to give up on the route, and they'll be there and all those kind of things. But he has that kind of arm to deliver it. But I think the lower the score, the better for Michigan. How shocked would I be if Michigan won the game? I wouldn't be that shocked. I'd be a little surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. But I would be shocked if you're telling me Michigan 42-38, the Wolverines win it without going to overtime. That would be shocking. I almost think any score in the 30s, although the way the game's played, maybe the low 30s, Michigan could get there and win it. But I think anything over 35 is going to favor the Buckeyes. And let's see more on the feedback here. Michael saying Ohio State fans are the worst. That's coming from somebody that lives in Ohio. Yeah, you know what? I can't say all of them. I can't say all of them are a bunch of, drunk heathens, Philistines, but you know what? They do fit a profile, and most of them are a bunch of drunk Philistines. So, they get what they got coming to them. when it comes to that. Most of them are like that. I mean, there's a scant few that don't fit that profile. And for them, I think they even know, just like yourself, Michael. I mean, you live down there. It's like, I'm sure you like some of your neighbors and some of the people that you work with, but the vast majority of them, when it comes down to Ohio State, I mean, it's when I said a cauldron. One more from Antoine here before we go to the board. He says, I hope Michigan is not too passive. Not putting up enough points on the board is dangerous. We should run when we can row and throw when we can throw. Run when we can run, throw when we can throw. Jim has a tendency to let people hang around. Well, I get that, Antoine, but I don't see a way of this playing out where Michigan's going to run away and hide from Ohio State. Like they're going to get up 21-3 or something, and then they're just going to keep, adding on. I think Michigan, if they're going to win this game, they're going to do what they've done all year long, and that is going to feature a strong running attack. And then when need be or when they can, hit some big plays in the passing game. But I think they're going to have to stay with Ohio State scoring-wise. And so I think that if you're hoping for a Michigan win tomorrow, and you are, that you're hoping for a close game, you should expect a close game all the way through. If you could tell me right now that this would be a 24-all game in the fourth quarter, I would take that. I mean, I would take that all day. Like, wouldn't you? Would I take 24-21? Michigan down 3 points heading into fourth quarter. I would take that. Now, I'm not taking anything else. I mean, I'll take 30-20 heading into the fourth quarter, Ohio State. No, I don't want to see a score. I don't want to see a 2-score game. If Michigan's within 1 score in the fourth quarter, you know what? You're at home. You've been waiting your whole life. I mean, because the way this rivalry is going, everything that it would mean, making some plays in the fourth quarter, if you can get there in a 1-score game, I think here on Black Friday, the day before they play this game, that is all you can ask for. I'll get back to YouTube messages are flying in today, and I like to see that. Now let's see what I was touting the Maize and Blue Review message board, Wolverine 10. Let's see what they're bringing to the table, because I asked the question, how are you feeling about the game with less than 24 hours to go to kickoff? And it'll take me a second here. Hit on the iPad, it can be a little different. On my cell phone, I pop it right up, that little icon. I'm ready to go. Little app takes me right on there. It takes me a couple seconds. Well, on the iPad, it takes me maybe sometimes a second or two more. I think maybe just because it could be my finger might be too fat. There it is. Wolverine Den. I'm entering. I'm heading in. All right. How are you feeling about the game with less than 24 hours to go to kickoff? Let me hear some of the remaining sound that I have. Here's Andrew Stuber, who was asked. He is Michigan's right tackle. He was asked what Michigan would be emphasizing this week. Here's what Michigan offensive lineman Aaron Stuber had to say about the emphasis this week.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that we're preaching to this whole week is that we have to remember what got us here in this point. We have to remember what we've done in the past to get us to this moment, to make this such a big game, and we can't change our style of play. Michigan football comes out and we play our ball no matter who we're playing against.
All right. That makes me feel pretty good. Like, if you're looking for things to feel good, well, listen to Aaron Stuber. I've got a little bit from Aiden Hutchinson. I won't play it all, but this makes me feel good too.
I mean, this is why I came back for this team and to beat Ohio State.
Yeah. It's by Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, how many times if you talk to somebody, I got a text from a friend of mine that I haven't seen in 8 years and I haven't heard from in a couple of years. His text to me today, 3 sacks and a forced fumble from Aiden Hutchinson. He said something about him being picked number 1 by the Lions.
Later. So there's a lot riding on it, but it's I think guys in our locker room and guys, we just practiced. I mean, we're all bought in. Yeah.
Well, that's good. They're all bought in. They're ready to go. A little bit more from Aiden Hutchinson before we start reading what the Den has to say.
I think a lot of the guys understand. We know that it's just, give it everything we got, sell out, because this is the last time we're stepping in the big houses here. So I don't think you're going to be seeing a lot of scared or fearful play from us on Saturday.
Enough said right there from Aiden Hutchinson. All right. How are you feeling now that we're less than 24 hours away from kickoff? Jump on in the comments there on YouTube. Let's go to the board here. Wolverine Den from Ahsoka. How do I feel? I feel we are about to get a reminder of why stars matter more than X's and O's. OSU has way too much horsepower for us to hang with them. I think if you are looking at recruits, if you're looking at athletes, if you're looking at stars, it's true. Michigan will not win this game when it comes down to any kind of recruiting list. Michigan had, what they got? 3 5-stars out there. Dax Hill on defense. Who else? Chris Hinton, defensive tackle. He'll be out there. What number is he? 15. Number 15, Chris Hinton. Number 30, Dax Hill. Michigan had one other 5. Oh, J.J. McCarthy. How's he going to factor in? Ohio State, they've got him covered when it comes to the talent part. But the X's and O's part, I think Ohio State had Michigan covered as well. Ryan Day amped up what Urban Meyer had going. He coached against Don Brown back when they were at BC, and, he knew that he had something up his sleeve and just waiting to pounce on Don Brown and was able to do it. You start saying, this is the biggest game for Mike Macdonald. Yeah, Mike Macdonald goes out there and puts some kind of defensive game plan together to slow down C.J. Stroud, these wide receivers. McDonald's going to go from, hey, he's done a pretty good job this year getting to Michigan to 10 wins. This guy's a superstar. Yeah, there will be other teams coming after him. And you know what? They should. If he's out there and can X and O against this team. But yeah, if you're just look at Michigan's an 8.5-point underdog. So yeah, I get the trepidation feeling. Here's Go Blue 41, who says, I just have the feeling that if it doesn't happen this year, then it's just never going to happen. I think of the top players on defense like Hutch and Ojabo being gone after this year, and it just adds to that feeling. It's now or never. This has to be the year, right? Right now, he puts more on here, and I get that feeling. But you know what? I felt that way in 2016. Like it was Harbaugh's second year. Here they were going. They had every chance, and they came up this short, whatever it was, with the spot. And then I said, I'm not going to get hooked in. And then in 2018, Ohio State's defense looked so terrible. I remember it was a game against Maryland. I was, down there. It might have even been overtime. It was up 50-50 or something. I'm like, come on. And then Michigan, the way they were playing, I thought, and Michigan was the favorite at Columbus. That was the 62-point game. And then I thought, that's it. But then I got to the offseason, and you have to do this with every team. You can't get caught up too much in the last 16 years. I do think it's a factor. I do think that if you're one of the 110,000 in the stadium, and let's just say Michigan, gives up a big play or they get down early, I think the fans, they've been burned. And, you could talk about cheering for the team and not showing any signs of reeling in or being scared of the opponent, but Ohio State goes out there and flexes his muscle early, they'll take the crowd out of it. And you know what? The Buckeyes definitely will feed into that. And kind of this feeling like, and it was even 2 years ago, Michigan was hanging in there a little bit with OSU. The game they gave up, was it 54, 56 points, whatever it was? It was just too much Ohio State at the end. But that happens. It does creep in where, you feel about the past. I feel pretty good, and a lot of it is come from Aiden Hutchinson and listening to these guys. Like, you know what? They're not going to play scared, and not so much that the other teams have, but there's some of that has factored in. Like Ohio State has been in Michigan's head. I mean, how could you not be? You could say, "Don't let them happen." You could say that. And you can even say it if you're a fan, but it's hard to stand up there when the results of the 21st century and be like, we're all set. Even if we're down 10. I don't know why I started talking. Oh, because he was saying it feels like this year or never. I'll tell you the one part that feels like this year or ever or never or whatever is that we could all agree it would be a great win because Harbaugh hasn't had one, because Michigan's, had, just a scant few here in the 21st century. It's because the Ohio State Buckeyes are at the top of their power. Like, they got the best offense on paper in the country. The number one's down the board, points per game, yards per game, just littered out there. Stroud's great. These wide receivers, and you say that they're the greatest collection in college football history. You say, wait a second, Michigan just in the bowl game a couple years ago was going up against Devontae Smith and Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs. Probably missing somebody in there. Ruggs, Jeudy, Devonta Smith. There's another one that I'm missing in there. Just an embarrassment of all of these. Waddle, Jalen Waddle. Oh yeah, he's pretty good too. Yeah, that was a pretty good quartet. But this trio is as good as any that I've seen in my life in watching college football. And that includes those Bama wide receivers. I mean, Waddle and Ruggs, those guys are great. Those guys are track stars. Put them out on the outside. Woo! Now these guys. Olave seems like he's been around for 100 years. He seems like he should be in the pros. Garrett Wilson's not taking a back seat to anybody, and they say this Smith Najigba is better than both of them. So, yeah. Oh, this is the thing. So, if they get it done this year, Michigan, things are going to change after this year. You do have name, image, and likeness. Michigan might be taking advantage of this. That could even up the gap in recruiting. Like a lot of people feel, I think some of it's a cop-out. I think some of it's real. I think, whatever makes you feel good about recruiting or losing or, to just automatically say Ohio State cheats. That's why they've got this gap. Well, moving forward, Michigan can do whatever they have at their disposal, and they have had when things are above board. Michigan has spent money through the nose. Whether it's, taking a trip around the world or signing with the stars or satellite camps, Michigan's poured millions of dollars. Flights, flying around, they've done all of that, but where they haven't gone into some of those gray areas, they can go. There is not a gray area when it comes down to that anymore. So my long point here is that tomorrow's game represents a final chance to take down the old guard, Ohio State, the one that's been able to go out and bring all of this great talent in with this coach and everything else. After this, Michigan should be able to close the gap somehow with the NIL is what I'm talking about. That bag. If that bag, if they can fill it up like Ohio State, has been in the gray areas for the past few years. Again, I don't use that. Ohio State's earned the victories on the field. That's what I go by. You want to start talking about, you don't think they're cheating and all of that? I think they might be. But I also think that most of the teams that are in the top 10, certainly the top 5, have done it, are doing it, and college football looked, so down on it, they've allowed everybody to do it now. So it was never all that big of a deal. And, now everybody can get involved in it. So I shouldn't be talking about it. Less than 24 hours to go through the game. Go Blue 41 had a lot more else to say here. Let me go to the back end of his long part here. He says, will fear and doubt creep in like in years past, or is this the year the Wolverines rise up and punch the bully straight in the face and keep hitting him like Ralphie did in the Christmas Story? We are about to find out. This is the year, right? Go Blue. Slide on. Wolverine Den. Fine. Playing a really good team. Good day to measure how program grew with all the offseason and how to handle in-game adversity. We'll need to score a lot, and our talent has to outplay their talent. For me, it is how does our quarterback play? Can we allow no plays over 20 yards? We need 3 turnovers. All right, so slide on, all of that stuff. I hear you, but let's just take those. Like when you get to big games, turnovers, special teams, third down plays, and big plays. I mean, those are 4 things. Those do factor in, but if you're going in and telling somebody that is a football fan that Michigan can't allow any plays over 20 yards tomorrow, like in the passing game, or they're going to be in trouble. Well, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to give up plays of more than 20 yards, big plays. It's going to happen. I can guarantee you that Michigan's going to give up a couple of those. Now, it's the key to me, if I'm looking for one thing, and I'll boil it down, even though, you could come up with probably 25. I've boiled it down to 1. If Michigan can keep the big plays down to under 5, I'll allow 4 plays of 20 or more, but not 5. I counted earlier in the week the Michigan State game. They had, I think, 5. First, they had a bunch of 2-point conversions, and but they had 5 plays of more than 20 yards. Michigan will be in a good spot if they can keep that under 5. That's my main point. So this about not allowing any, I think you're asking too much there. Just like needing 3 turnovers. Turnovers help. But when people go, you can't turn the ball over. Well, you can. What if you do turn it over on the first play? Well, look at against Penn State. Like I would have said the same thing. Michigan coughed it up in their own end after the Nittany Lions had tied the game. And of course, like a lot of you, I was thinking that game was over. My God, here's the turnover, strip sack, right? 3 and out and a strip sack. And now Michigan for the first time has given the ball up to Penn State in their own end. But you know what? The game wasn't over. The defense covered the offense's back there and was able to hold Penn State to a field goal. The point of all this is there can be turnovers, even on the Michigan side. You don't want them. That doesn't help. But you don't need 3 turnovers. Turnovers are big, though. I'm not here to tell you that. No, don't worry about turnover. Cough it up. I'm saying that you could turn the ball over and still win the game. But no, I would like to win the turnover battle too. Just like I would like to not give up any plays of 20 yards or more. What else is the quarterback? Is number 12 going to outplay CJ Stroud? Does that have to happen tomorrow? There's a question for you. Let me ask it to myself. Dennis, do you think that Cade McNamara has to outplay CJ Stroud tomorrow for Michigan to win the game? No. I don't think that he has to. Like, that's not Cade McNamara. What are we talking about here? Stroud, like, Ohio State throws the ball 75% of the time. Michigan runs it 75% of the time. So that doesn't have to happen. McNamara needs to hit his shots where he can. And you know what? He throws a great crossing route. He can 20 and inside the seams. He's really good operating in there. I know the Buckeye defense knows that. They've watched them all, but I think about the touchdown that he threw to Roman Wilson, a 21-yarder against Penn State 2 weeks ago. That was a great pass. Or the 93-yarder that he threw to Andrell Anthony. That was a great pass. He could put it on the money. You can hold your hands like this, run full blast on a diagonal across the field, and he'll hit you from 25 yards in. Boom. But if you're talking about him having to play Cade McNamara outplaying CJ Stroud, who can throw the ball to the moon, who's got 3 guys that are going to be picked in the first round of the NFL draft, he doesn't have to outplay CJ Stroud. I think the defense needs to just disrupt his timing a little bit, a tick. Yeah, getting some sacks. What has Ohio State given up? 13 sacks. But quarterback hurries, quarterback hits, speeding them up just a tick or two while if a DB's sitting down, you got a comeback route, something like that. All right, Tylon. Tim Thumb on the Wolverine Den. Some chatter floating around about some OSU guys with the flu. Let's wait and see. Now that's the kind of talk I like. I don't know. I haven't got a check-in on the Buckeyes and the flu or COVID tests or something like that. Yeah, so I don't know. rumors floating around. All right. I haven't, I'll be making some calls later on today. And we'll see about, and I'll be posting any information that I get. Wolverine Den. Varanot. Ad Varanot. Got a cool picture of his dog here as his avatar. I feel no different than I did 3 days ago. Sorry, let me read that over. I feel no different than I did 3 days ago, etc. I do not believe we will win. I would be slightly impressed if we kept a close competitive game to the end and played tough and smart the whole way, coaching staff included. Now, that doesn't mean he's a Debbie Downer. Oh, Michigan is a big-time underdog in this game. You thinking that Michigan is going to lose the game, hoping, and it doesn't mean you're a bad fan. It doesn't mean you're working against. I don't think that particular post is going to have anything to do with Michigan winning or losing the game. Let's see. We'll go with our last message here. CJ is not good at long sustained drives. The longer you make him stay on the field in terms of having to score, the better it is for Michigan. You could rattle him and force him into turnovers. That is from Antoine. Maybe. That sounds good. I like the game plan, Antoine. Yeah, making him stay out there. What's the reverse of that? Having him throw it over your head and them going the distance. Big time plays. The Michigan State game. Watch that film in the first quarter. Woo! Ball up the seam. Woo! Back of the end zone. No. Yeah, you don't want that going on. All those kind of fireworks. So turnover. Special teams. Michigan. I would say Michigan needs to win the special teams area. And I think their defense, if they can disrupt Stroud, throw him off. Sure, sacks, hits, been over that. Throw him off a little bit. I'm with that. Limit the plays, big ones, to under 5. And you know what? The other one, come up big on third downs. I mean, those are like turnovers. We see it with these fourth down conversions that teams are going for now. I saw it yesterday. I'm not talking about the Lions. It was the nightcap, the Bills from their own 31. They only had this far to go, but you know what? Woo, they're going for it. Fourth downs coming up big. I mean, that gets you an extra set of downs, extra moving the chains, possessions. Where's Michigan going to, how much? Anything like this from your 30 and out, your own 30, are you going for? I think they are. If it's 4th and 2 feet in the first quarter from their own 31, I think Michigan can and should go for it. And I think they will. And that plays into third downs. I mean, you say, well, what's the third down conversion? You look at the end, you see a nice third down conversion and third down against. Well, that's how you get to the fourth quarter with a chance to beat Ohio State. So all of those things. All right, 2 things that I have for you here that I have every show. And one is the Memorabilia Minute, and the other is the Michigan Recruiting Spotlight. And Michigan just did pull in a kicker, not for this upcoming year, but for the following year. And it looks like, and I haven't seen the actual rankings and everything else, but he looks like he could be the best kicker in the country. So it's a good start. This upcoming signing day, Michigan has 18 verbal commitments, and on December 15th, that's the opening of the 72-hour window where you then can take those commitments and sign your name. And Michigan's hoping to, between now and then, add a few more, and a couple for sure. One guy that's going to be in this weekend, and Damani Jackson, the outstanding 5-star corner, top 10 prospect overall from California, who's going to be in. Michigan gets their last chance. Success on the field, that wouldn't hurt. NIL, pitch to him. Will Johnson, his buddy, his dream team. So Michigan's got a chance there. It just plays into it could be a great weekend. This could be one of the greatest weekends. Tomorrow could be one of the greatest days in Michigan football history. They could get a win. They could, get a silent verbal from Damani Jackson. Ultimately, they could get a commitment and a signature. And we're almost, what are we talking about here? Less than 3 weeks to signing day. Could all happen. And, it could be the greatest, one of the greatest days in Michigan football history. So that's it when it comes down to the recruiting spotlight. Let's just see how tomorrow goes. And there's going to be a lot of big time players and in attendance. So, of course, everybody else watching this, it can go a long way beating them on the field. It helps. Memorabilia minute. Get to that. I have pulled a couple ticket stubs from back in the day. I spend 1 minute talking about memorabilia. I don't have a lot of great stuff, but my first ever Michigan-Ohio State game was this one right here. And I was not a student. I have never been a student at Michigan, but I was going out with a girl in 1993. She said, "Hey, want to go to the Michigan game?" Yes, I do. I went to the game, and the thing I remember about that game, Michigan won 28-0, but that girl's father had a setup right down Hoover. I don't know, a little 8-iron down Hoover. And it was the first time I'd ever went there and saw somebody with a pregame setup that, put some planning into it and had the tailgate, had the buffet, everything. And I just looked around and I said, this guy, he was taking me, look at it. This is what we got. And then he said, we go in, we follow the band right in. They marched right up Hoover, and you follow the band in, and that's what I did. And it was one of the great experiences of my life. Thanks to that girl. If I knew her name, I'd say it, but I forgot it. A couple years after that, I was in the media, and why I kept this pass, I don't know. But all these years later, there it is. That's the 313-yard. Chmunga Biaka Batuka game. First one in the media. Not bad. Only to be supplanted by 2 years later. There it is. 97 Michigan-Ohio State game, which it continues to be the greatest game that I have ever attended in my life. But I'll tell you what, if Michigan wins this game tomorrow, then it can go down right alongside certainly the 95 game, but being able to get to Indianapolis when they never have, all of that being said, it'd just be great. All of that. Okay. We've got some final comments here. I'm going to give you a prediction. Antoine, let's hear your prediction here. He's got one last thing to say. What you're not getting at is he's good at checking down, or he's good at checkers, not chess. Making him figure out stuff slows him down tremendously. Not only that, in the red zone, it shrinks the field. Ohio State's speed goes away. He's talking about getting Stroud and making him go the distance rather than throwing it over Michigan's head. All right. You're convincing me, Antoine. Make him go the distance. I'm with you on that. One of the keys to the game. And I appreciate you getting in. Everybody that sends feedback in, it makes me, as I just sit here talking, it makes it feel like I've got a bunch of people here with me and we're all talking about Michigan, which is nice. Now, when it comes down to this game, long ago, I remember that 95 game. I picked Michigan to win. They were a huge underdog, and you had Dudley and Eddie George on the other side. Ohio State, I think, was the number one. If not, they were the number 2 team in the country, just like this year. And Michigan had lost 4 games. Nobody was giving them a chance, and I picked Michigan. But you know what? Afterwards, when I wanted to take credit, people said, you know what? You always pick Michigan. And I said, yeah, you know what? You're right. I always do pick Michigan. So the decision there was going to be in the media. Are you going to pick always going to pick Michigan? It's fun, picking Michigan always to win, like always giving them a chance. Like who's going to win? Michigan. I never consider any other result. There's a part about that I get, but going into the media and doing shows like this and other shows, I decided all those years ago, out of that 95 game, when I wanted credit, I wanted credit for picking Michigan, but I wasn't getting any because, I always pick Michigan. So I said, well, I'm going to pick with my head and just pick exactly what I think is going to happen out there, even if that's not what I want to happen. And I do think in this one, I am picking 38-31 bad guys. Now, I think if Michigan can keep it, if that would end up being the score, it's not what I want. It wouldn't be the greatest weekend in the world. None of that. All of it. Misery continues. And for, a week, I wouldn't listen to what I had to say either because I'll be flying off the handle and acting a fool and all those kind of things. But I think if, after that sting wears down, if Michigan can put up that kind of battle and stay that close and have a 10-win season, it'll have been a pretty good season for them. Nice bounce back for sure for Jim Harbaugh and company, and then go out and win a bowl game. So they haven't done it in a long time. But if they can win and get to Indianapolis and the college football playoffs, the reason that I'm not making the leap and saying I think they're going to do it, I do like the ability to get after the quarterback with the defensive ends. I like how the secondary's playing. That should give Michigan a chance. I like that they have a running game and I love how the offensive line is playing, be able to keep the Buckeyes over there on the sideline. There's some stuff being at home. There's some stuff here that Michigan has going for it. But I do think those 3 wide receivers and the way Stroud can throw the ball, I can't do it with my head. The other part is the Michigan defense watching them in the second half against Michigan State. Too many big plays. I know there were a lot of reviews and everything else, but too many on 4th and 1s, too many 2-point conversions, too many, 60-yard runs, too many, 4th and 1, 30-yarders, too much. And, for that, you can say, well, that's just one game. Well, the Penn State game, even though they came back, and there was also, that 8-point or the touchdown and 2-point conversion in that one too. That one wasn't making me feel very good, but they can do it. I'm just giving you my reasons why, and with this, hoping I'm wrong. All right, that's going to do it. I'll be on after the game. I'm hoping to catch up with a little Michigan tonight. Coming back here tonight, talking more about this game. See how I feel. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk with you, if not tonight, at you after the game. Thanks for listening to the podcast, all those kind of things. If you're somebody that just listens to the podcast, get in, write a review, and say, hey, I just listened to the podcast. That would help me out a great deal. Do those things like rate, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Have a great Black Friday.